Hey YouTube! October is ADHD Awareness Month. ADHD has three kinds of categories or flavors. We've got the hyperactive, the inattentive, and the combined, which is a mixture of both. ADHD is one of the neurodivergent acronymic diagnoses that make up the alphabet soup that is my brain. More specifically, combined ADHD. Basically, I'm wired a little differently. ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. As a kid, I hadn't yet received any diagnosis or explanation at why I felt so different. And when my psychiatrist at 20 said, "And your ADHD," I replied, "Really?" As if the first EP that I released wasn't called Zone Out, and despite me jiggling my leg for the entire conversation. Luckily at school, I thrived academically, and I multitasked during lessons so that although I wasn't really focusing, I learnt the curriculum in my own time. However, outside of school classes such as dance class, my ADHD was a bit more obvious. I was nicknamed Fairy Jessie because I was apparently always off with the fairies, and I was repeatedly told that I didn't focus enough. And although I hadn't been diagnosed with my neurodivergence at that age, I still somehow knew that it was an ingrained core part of me. And I would always answer, "But if I do that, I wouldn't be being me." It wasn't that I did not want to listen to my dance teachers. It was that my brain would switch itself off and I would zone out and I would not be in the physical realm up here. And then I would zone back in and my teachers would be like, "All right, now go." And I would be like, wait guys, what's going on? And then they would reply, "No one helped Jessie, she has to learn how to focus more." Which in hindsight was a bit ableist. But in hindsight as well, they also didn't know I was ADHD as much as I didn't know at that time. Some ADHD traits that I have include hyperactivity. Your girl is always on the go and always full of energy. As a kid, everybody always said, "I love your energy. Where do you get it from?" And I would just be like, "I don't know." My parents described it as going 100 miles per hour. Being hyperactive, my thoughts often race, and a lot of teachers, although I was academic, did point out that sometimes I spoke so fast they couldn't understand what I was really trying to say. Although this can be exhausting if I don't let myself take breaks, I'm able to put all my energy into things that I love, like directing, art, music. Another ADHD trait I have is time blindness. Since learning about my ADHD and other neurodivergent traits, I've set up a system where I set an alarm clock for every single thing that I have to do that day in order to stay on time and in order to not get lost and distracted by everything else. And I do struggle with being late. I am often late. I will be like, "Yeah, I'll meet you at 12," and then everything will just not work out. I'll then ring her or text her and be like, "Actually, I'm on a later train, so..." The next ADHD trait that I want to talk about is mood swings. I do not have very steady emotions. That is an understatement. It is more common for females that are ADHD, but ADHD individuals can suffer from mood swings jumping between extreme high highs and extreme low lows, similar to bipolar but less frequent and less intense. Luckily now I take my antidepressants, so my mood has leveled out a bit, but I did suffer a lot with these type of mood swings and functioning on a regular basis. Speaking of mood, emotional dysregulation. I do not have the same ability that neurotypicals have to regulate their emotions. I feel things a lot more deeper and a lot intenser than a neurotypical person would. If something were to upset or something were to excite a neurotypical person, they have the neurological ability to feel their emotions on a scale slowly winding up as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And whereas for me, my emotional regulation is more 1, 2, 3, 10. But as a positive, I do like to feel deeply. I think it is a really big positive as an artist to be able to be so in tune with your emotions and such an emotional being, because Good art always has some deeper meaning and level to it. Another ADHD trait I have is forgetfulness. If I didn't have a calendar and write absolutely every single thing down in a notebook, I would never get anything done. My drama teacher at school was always saying, "You need to be more organized," and I used to mimic her in class, and if she ever messed up, "Guess you just weren't organized enough." Oh, I'm sorry, but that wouldn't have happened if you were organized. I think the reason I was so offended that she commented on my organization skills was because I struggled so deeply with forgetfulness that I felt like it was a personal attack on me. But really, it was just another symptom of my undiagnosed ADHD at that time. A key symptom of ADHD I have is that I am loud. I have a lack of volume control. In my later years of high school, yes, I got good grades, but boy did my teachers have to tell me to stop talking. Although that can be a plus when entertaining people. Being ADHD means that my brain's executive function does not function as well as neurotypicals. This can leave me on the internet in scroll paralysis for hours. I can have things that I want to do that I really should be doing, and my brain will be like, no, until I finally find a post or something that gives me enough dopamine to get up and do whatever I needed to. On the outside, a lot of neurotypical people perceive this as laziness, but it's not that we don't want to do it or that we're not trying. It's that our executive functioning may not be working that day. ADHD brains lack dopamine. We not only do not have the same amount, but we also do not receive dopamine for doing tasks like a neurotypical person would. A big ADHD trait that I have is insomnia. Due to the racing thoughts, it's kind of hard for my body to wind down, and sleep does not come easy to me. I'll be laying in bed trying to sleep. My brain will just be running through every single thing that I had done that day, everything I can't wait to do in the future, things that didn't go well in the past, and it just never ends. No matter how hard you try, you will be lying there like, alright, shut up. A good hack for this is to listen to those binaural beats when you're trying to sleep, the ones you can just find on YouTube. My therapist taught me having a good bedtime routine also helps. Say, having a cup of tea and no electronics before bed. Maybe cliche, but it is worth it to try and sleep the best that you can. Because if you let your insomnia get out of control, you can go days without sleep, and that is really problematic for yourself. In 2016, I stayed awake for 96 hours. And by the last 2 days, it was awful. I had to go down in the sick bays, then go down to the doctors, give myself some sleeping tablets and try and sort it out from there. I right now don't need sleeping tablets, which is good, but I try my hardest to never let myself get that bad with my insomnia again. Lack of sleep is incredibly detrimental. It can lead to your organs not functioning or shutting down, your hair falling out. It can get scary. A more positive trait, on the other hand, of ADHD is creativity, imagination, and innovation. ADHD brains have a heightened imagination and find it easier to see pictures and things in their brain. We're also incredibly innovative, great problem solvers. This has obviously helped me with my passions and my career. Another ADHD trait I have is hyperfixation. I can get quickly obsessed with things, dive deep into them and hyper-focus on them, and then just leave it and move on. Sometimes this is great. Sometimes this is problematic. The good times is when you can hyper-focus on something that you care about. For example, art. I can pop out a song in 15 minutes. I can crazily research. I can be incredibly passionate about the things that I'm doing, more than anybody else I know. Although you do need to look after yourself and be really careful if you hyperfixate on things. During a hyperfixation, because you're so intensely focused on what you love and what you're doing, or even if you don't love it, you could just be really obsessed. I got really obsessed with that Travis the Monkey thing, scared myself silly, but I just couldn't stop watching it. You forget to do basic things like sleep, eat. Self-care is really important, and watching yourself when you hyperfixate is something that is also really important to stay healthy. Although being ADHD may come with a lot of challenges, I am absolutely proud to be ADHD and I love being me. If I wasn't ADHD, I would be a completely different person. As with any neurodivergency, it is the way our brains are wired, and it's okay to be wired differently. My advice to any other ADHD people is, do we have certain challenges? Yes, but so does every life. Happy ADHD Awareness Month! And remember, you are exactly who you are supposed to be. Thank you for watching my video. Like and subscribe if you want more content like this, and I'll see you guys shortly.